Welcome to the Arrogant Witch YouTube show. And that which the world has never seen can be seen tomorrow, and you can be the cause. Welcome in. I am Witch Naima. Today's topic is $7 to 7 figures as an online healer after being broke. What? So I'd like to invite you, if you love to learn about cultivating power, wielding that power for all, profit in all kinds, whether that be money, deep fulfillment, and every other area where power is necessary, I invite you to click like, subscribe, share the video, and then click the notification bell that's with the subscribe button so that your phone gets pinged and your email gets pinged when I go live, which is every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then sometimes on other days as I'm going live today, which is a Wednesday. Okay, so what I do is I help magical melanin witches, also healers, alchemists, those of us who are in the transformational arts, come out of hiding and come into full power so you can highly monetize the work that you were born to do, the work that's in your DNA, and live bone deep fulfillment. Okay, let me look at my notes here because I will forget things if I don't look at my notes sometimes. All right, cool. So for those of you who are here for the first time, I have been in the transformation industry for the last decade. Oh my God. When I say that, it just feels so dinosaurous. And so I have run the gamut of feast or famine, right, which is very common when all kind of coaches and healers of all kinds come into the transformation space with the intent to make money. There's so many who quit. There's so many who do the feast or famine cycle. And there's some people, and these are typically the exceptions, the people who come in and do like 6 figures in 6 months, right? I was one of the ones who did the feast or famine. And what I mean by that is first of all, I started off making a little bit of money, just happy to even make money. Because when I learned that you can make money online helping people, I was just like, what kind of magical place is this, right? So just making money without any real concern for the amount, and right. And then when I started to get serious, like, okay, I really want to grow here. I really want to make a bigger difference here. That requires internal growth first. And so I went through the feast or famine cycle. And so it's normal for those of you who, have experienced it. And then for those of you who come into the Arrogant Witch community, you will not be experiencing that as you are coming into the power that you are cultivating in this community, okay? And that's why this community exists. So a lot of the stuff that I went through, you don't have to go through. I mean, unless you just want to, because sometimes we like pain and struggle, tell the truth. All right, so I have, experienced the feast or famine like over years, okay? And then to come out of that and to know what it takes to really come out of the struggle around money, the struggle around worth, the struggle around value. And so today I'm going to be really focusing on money and wealth consciousness and what it really takes on the inside, and a little bit about what it takes on the outside, because 90% of it is what's going on in here, okay? And then the execution is 10%, okay? So, like I said, I came into the industry in 2011. And I struggled. Like, I made some money, but I struggled. I struggled to pay rent. I really struggled to get consistent, well-paying clients. And I was a generic coach, right? Now, back then, you could be a generic coach. Like, now you got to be super niche, because there's right? They're everywhere. Healers and coaches and shamans and right? But back then, I was just like a healer, like I didn't even call myself a healer. I was like a courage coach. I was working about helping women be more courageous and confident and like this kind of a thing. And it was at the end of 2012 that I really started to pray, right? And I don't pray in the way I used to. But prayer is what I would call what I used to do back then. And it was just this hunger for more, just this hunger to grow, hunger for more. And I just didn't know what to do. Like I hired this white lady and had a few sessions with her, but I hadn't yet seen the value in like really having a coach. And I wasn't aware of wealth consciousness yet. Like I wasn't aware that there's a whole like operating system in the unconscious around how I related to money, which a lot of coaches don't realize. There's no mystery around this. Like it's all in you. Like all the answers are within you, right? How about that for a quick answer, right? And so in 2013, I ended up at this conference. And for those of you who are subscribed to the community, you know, if you got the 5 Bad Ways report, you got the series of emails about my story. I went to this conference in Orlando about monetizing your message. And it was at that event that, first of all, I first realized like, oh my God, I'm the devil too. And it wasn't at the actual event, it was in my hotel room. That's a whole other story. It was like, oh my God. So it was just another portal of power that opened to me during this time, which is why I also know the transformational power of gathering and engaging in high frequency activities. So I feel like another topic there, but I'll leave that there for now. And so it was after this event, there was a decline. Like, oh my God, right? Like, this is how this stuff works, you guys. There was a decline. I was like this highness, this expansiveness, this higher awareness, and then boom, decline. So because polarities and balance requires that you be able to go both ways equally. It is just law. Like there's no way around this, okay? So if you go low, like for those of you who feel like you have just been poor and struggled so hard and it's been so painful and it's just been like deep pain that's for years and you just don't see how you could make 6 figures online as a healer. So what I'm here to tell you is by law, this is not my opinion or what I hope and wish for you, right? So it's not me trying to be optimistic and encourage you. This is law, meaning it is so, okay? If you've been that low, like the level of low that I went to in 2013, where I was drinking myself to sleep and not bathing for 3 or 4 days at a time, when you go low like that, that means you already have the propensity to go super high. It's called balance. It's the law, okay? And when you go super high, right? Like I went at that event, I'm gonna tell you the level of high and all the senses were stimulated, high language, touch with positive intention. I mean, like it was just so much highness at this event. And at night, when I went back to my hotel room, that pendulum happened. That whole, oh, you went this high, you got to be able to handle the low. And this is where it's like you opened up. And that's why I think it was yesterday I posted that your natural essence as a whole divine creative being, a part of that is demonic, which equals divine. Demonic equals divine. Divine is not just this white, clean, holy, divine with God, with one. And that's where Christianity and New Age spirituality got folks so like distorted in their own being because they're so busy trying to be good and a Christian and help people and be kind and be patient and compassionate and all those things, which is great. Of course, right? You want to be these things that are helpful to yourself, of course. But you're also a stubborn, selfish, fill in the blank, right? Impatient, rude, disrespectful, like get into it. Are we gonna tell some of the truth or are we gonna tell all of it? You want some power or you want full power, okay? So, went to this low place in 2013, which I've talked about countless times, right? Go look in the archives, okay? And I found out about wealth consciousness, that I can reprogram the way I think and feel about abundance of all kinds, about help, like Allowing help to come in is a form of receiving abundance. Allowing yourself to be praised without, making it insignificant. Allowing yourself to have attention on you, which is required if you're going to build an online six-figure business. People will be paying attention to you. When your wealth consciousness is low, you have a hard time receiving that attention, right? So wealth consciousness with money, allowing yourself to even get into intimate detail about money, like working the numbers. Like, oh, I would like to buy a house in Paris. Like, first of all, even allowing yourself to go there and what your heart wants. Oh, wow. And like being so in tune with you're allowing yourself to have that you take the next step. Okay, so let me go look at houses in Paris on the internet. Oh, no. Okay, what does it take to buy a house? You start looking at different financial institutions that help Americans buy houses, whatever the goal is for you, the financial goal, right? And looking at the numbers and seeing how you feel about it and really allowing yourself to get into it versus staying in the typical domain of healers, magical melanin healers and coaches and shamans and alchemists of, I can't afford it, so you don't even look at it, right? I remember when I was broke, I'm making money, but still broke, people would invite me to do things and I would lie and say I was busy when really I didn't have the money. Or if I saw something that appeared to cost a lot of money, I wouldn't even look at it. I would just automatically be like, I can't afford that. Like, that is evidence of low wealth consciousness. So that's why I'm doing this today, because it's just so important that we get into it, and we're going to go further into it, some in the Arrogant Witch community, but there's also going to be a course specifically for Magical Melanin Witches and coming into power with money, which, by the way, is how I was able to cross the six-figure mark, because so many women, baby, when I tell you this, you listen, one of the reasons that I love getting into sex and money is because I just love it. Like, it thrills me. It's electrical for me. I love it. The second reason why I love it is because it's where the power is for women. A woman could be sweet. She could be a great mother. She could be kind. She could be loving. She could be all of these wonderful things and be a wonderful person. But you sit with her and get into sex, or you get into with money and you find out who she really is. You find out who she really is, like the deeper strings that control her and where she has or doesn't have power. So I'm telling you, you get your money shit together on the inside, you get your sexual power together, that's when you become a true force of nature. And I have been one of the reasons why I'm here, and I'm going to get back to the story. One of the reasons why I'm so demonically devoted to opening up the Arrogant Witch community, really spearheading it, really allowing my violent protective nature or piece in me that is this is happening, period. This is happening. It's because, so clearly I have been living in another world, right? A world of my own making. So then I also visit this world where y'all hang out, where other people hang out, okay? And because it was so a fish in water, it was just the way it was for me, I didn't connect the dots. And when I withdrew, I was so angry. Oh my God, I was so angry in 2019. You guys have no fucking idea. I was in Bali, self-destructing like a motherfucker, okay? And I was so angry, and that's a whole other story, because it was there's this enormous thing to do with Magical Melanin Witches, and I just don't know, first of all, if I'm going to take responsibility for that, or if I'm even going to come into the power that's necessary to spearhead such a thing. Because do you guys understand the enormity of what we're doing here, those of you who say yes to the arrogant witch community, those of you who come to Atlanta, and Atlanta is a start, Atlanta, Orlando, and again, I'll be in Orlando, Atlanta, Orlando, New York City, and I'll be at those 3 cities within like 5 days of each other. I start in Atlanta July 29th, and then 2 days later I'm in Orlando, and then 3 days later I'm in New York City. And then about a month thereafter, it's Houston, Chicago, and Oakland, right? For those of you who say yes and then come into the arrogant witch community, do you recognize that the power, if you didn't know, I'm telling you now, the power that you're going to be, like, this is the wall. Like, this is the final frontier. Like, there has been a wall around, there's been like this collective fog and this collective avoidance amongst magical melanin witches to not come into power, to stay small. And it's been like this psychic collective agreement. Yeah. Before 2020, there was this psychic collective agreement that we would stay small, that we would keep inhaling everybody else shit on YouTube and being like, whatever, knowing that you have something signature that your people need. And now that portal has opened where the collective agreement is now we coming the fuck out. We're coming out. We're coming with signature intelligence. We're serving the people we're here to serve. We're coming into full power and we're getting rich as fuck doing it unapologetically. And look, 6 figures could be rich for you, and that is totally fine. Somebody else, like 6 figures is baby money, and you like, excuse me, what I'm trying to do requires multiple 7 figures, whatever. There's no hierarchy as far as that's concerned. You decide what's rich for you. What I'm saying is, what we're doing is not being done for witches. It's new. This is why I said all last week, what we're doing is new. So if you feel afraid, if you feel heat in your body, yeah, that's normal. You're going to feel that. And guess what? The power is in that. The power is in moving through that, holding the desire. Like you cannot abandon the desire because you get hot, because you get scared, because your mama is questioning what you're doing, people calling you the devil and who you think you are. Good, let them do it. Refer back to who you are, refer back to your desire, go back into your communion and your ritual, remember who you are, and keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Because when the evidence starts to show, evidence meaning money in your bank account, evidence being people who once said that you was an embarrassment to the family, like my mom said once upon a time, then come around and be like, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I support you, please. That's evidence that you are holding steady to what the fuck you came here to do. And that's why the community is so important. See, a lot of us, and I was guilty of this, I told you, I didn't really see the value of coaching and being in community to build a business in 2011, 2012, 2013. I didn't see like I knew coaching existed. And like I told you, I hired this one little white lady and I got like 3-4 sessions from her, but it was like a willy-nilly, whatever, let me see what's up with this kind of thing. It wasn't my future is dependent on me building this business. I'm here to do this, and I'm gonna make sure I get into a container, a long-term committed container, to make sure that when I want to bail, I don't bail. To make sure when I'm crying, there's somebody there to support me. When I win, it's people there to celebrate me. That is people who get me, who know me, who are on the same path. They crazy like me. They see what I'm saying? That's why, because we're done. We're done having white girls. Listen, how far are we gonna go on YouTube? Huh? White girls watching you on the internet, and this has happened. Eating up every free thing you offer, they eating it up, taking it up, they modify it to appeal to their audience, triple the price and killing it. Why you over here scared to charge a measly ass $150 an hour? That's done. That's shit. It's dead. It's over. It's done. So in 2013, going back to the story now, what a detour. Okay, 2013, the sexual side of me, okay? And the part of me that I told you, that sex and money, you go through those portals successfully and you keep going, you will win, guaranteed. Yeah, not hopefully, you will win. Okay. My sexual side came out, and remember I said your demonic self is your divine self. After being in the dark, which is where all things are birthed from, after being in that dark for much of 2013, I finally made the decision, the irrevocable decision. And let's get into decisions now, all right? Let's get into it. How did I go from $7 and on my mother's couch to six figures in 18 months? I made a decision that I was going to make money and service equally important. There was no longer going to be this thing that's typical in the healer space of, well, people need help. People are struggling. I can't charge $10,000 for a coaching package. Who can afford that? The people who choose to afford it. That's who. And we'll get into in the money courses. If you want to create $100 thing for people who are at $100 level, you can do that. But don't do just that because your wealth consciousness is so low that you don't even allow yourself to consider creating a $3,000 package, a $5,000 package, a $10,000 package. This is where we're going. This is where you're going when you come into the Arrogant Witch community, when you buy the course that's separate from the community, but you get to come into this empower inside of the community. One of the things that frustrated me so much on my path from 2013 till now, I'll just like 2013 to 2017, right? That's a nice chunk of time. Is that, and I know part of the reason why that was even my path was so I could be here now with you. That's why it's so strange and odd. So I could be here. I started, was this 20? Yeah, I started hanging out in feminine goddess circles in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2011. Wait, was that 2011? Yes, 2011. I started hanging out in the goddess, social gatherings, feminine connection type social circles and things like that. And I was always either the only Black woman or one of her few. That was the culture of the Bay Area at the time. And I remember I noticed that there wasn't any dealing in like real money, like business growth. And so I decided it was time to go. And then I also was bothered by the fact that there wasn't more color in the circles. And so I started to hang out in business circles. I started to search online for where business circles was happening. And that's how I started to come across business coaches and started to learn about how money is actually made on the internet. And I told you guys about how that racist white business coach who I went to her event, and part of my struggle inside was, this lady is clearly racist, right? A woman who would never admit that she's racist, one of those, right? This woman is clearly racist, and yet, ooh, baby, magic is such a fucking paradox. And I'm telling you, your treasure would be right behind a wall with an X on it. Where logically it don't make sense, but something in you is saying, go. And so that event that I went to in 2013 was this racist woman's event, which was one of the best things that happened to me. And so when I came out in 2014, when I made that decision that I was going to make money and service equally important, and that I was also going to allow my sexual self to have a front seat in the building of my business. And that I've talked about the writing and all that, right? And I started to put myself out there, and there's so much I want to tell. So the where I was going with this right here, right now was, and I'm going to back it up. I'm going to go forward and I'm going to come back. So let's fast forward and then I'm going to come back. I promise. Okay. So once I crossed six figures, right? So I'm bringing it forward to summer of 2015. I had already crossed six figures. I was in Italy, and was that 2015 that I signed up? I signed up for this coaching program. It was a $30,000 coaching program with a business coach, very well known. And I didn't listen. Payments, okay? For those of you who are like, $30,000, oh my God. And keep in mind, I have been doing this wealth consciousness work, which is essential. It's like, there's no going around this. Okay. And so boom, I signed up for her high-end program, and there were like, I don't know, 25 people in this program, and it was me and two Black women. One Black woman was from Chicago, another one was from the Bahamas or Jamaica or something like that. Then I signed up for another coaching program with another white woman. I was the only Black woman in that program. And this was like in her house with like 20 other people in Paris, like, right? And I would go to other workshops, like one-off workshops and, you know, so, things like that. And would constantly be like, where are we? Like, where are we? And keep in mind, it's not like I even remember, I'm like, what is I have done and what's available, everybody else can do. Every other magical melanin witch can do. Where are we? And not just a regular spiritual woman or even just like a regular Christian Black woman who's, I mean, magical melanin witches. Where are we? And that's actually where part of my anger started to develop. When I retrace how my anger started to build up again, that's actually where my anger started to come from, which anger is not like something to be, anger is a pointer, like, why are you angry? Like, point at yourself and look for why, right? And I remember specifically, it was 2017, I think it was. Yeah, 2017, I was living in Paris, and I would be in my apartment, just basically the mountaintop, what I define as the mountaintop. Like, everything was perfect. Like, whatever imagine what your perfect life looks like, that's what my life was, right? In my version of perfect, right? So you imagine what your version of a perfect life is. It was perfect. And I remember feeling this deep loneliness around the awareness. Like, all the women I would hang out with were white. All my clients were white. I had like very few Black clients. And I would always watch where they would stop. And the anger started to build. And what the anger was really pointing to was actually something that had been in me for years. I had just pushed to the back burner because I was like, I remember when I started to really like go deeper and trace like how and where is this coming from, all that, I had actually pushed to the back burner. Well, I don't see Black people moving. Well, that's on them. I'm gonna keep on going, and their asses can catch up whenever they decide to catch up. I remember thinking something along the lines of that, because I was like, I just can't stay here anymore. I have to go. And so I went, and boom, got to what was considered a success. And the hunger that was there all along, but I had pushed down, started to bubble up in the form of anger. And that's what had me like disintegrate, like not wanting to do business anymore, like literally like not even caring about making money anymore. Like, can you imagine? Like, I don't give a fuck about this shit. Like, where we at? Like, we need to. And that was so hard, you guys. It was so hard. Like, I was in Bali, like seriously considering leaving Earth again, like truly, truly considering leaving Earth, because I could feel the enormous power that would be required to be here with you today. And this was what, 2019? This was like early summer 2019. And I wrote about this. I did a post on this. Anyway, so okay, let me go back now. I told you I was gonna go back. Let me go back. So when I came back out, okay, remember I have, in the dark place, and I came back out early 2014, and I came out, really, it was just, I had a spiritual communication to do this particular thing, which contact these women, get on the phone, to have these unfiltered conversations about all kinds of things, motherhood, sex, money, shame, body, blah, blah. And I did that. I followed that intuitive hit quickly, too. It was a quick boom. And I contacted 3 women just like that. They all said yes. We got on the phone. We recorded the call. We were crying. We were, the kind of truth that you tell where you're shaking. We were like telling that kind of truth. And I remember when we hung up, I said to myself, if that happened that powerfully with these 3 women, what would happen if I was consistent with this? And from there, I got onto like, I think I was on Twitter at the time, and Facebook, LinkedIn. And I just started messaging people that I was connected with on social media, women, saying, hey, you want to get into a group like me and no more than 3 other women and talk about these womanhood things? And when I tell you, within like 2-3 days of doing that, my calendar from January to March was booked out with women wanting to have these calls. This is how I got back in the game. Now, these are free. I wasn't getting paid, but this is how I got back into the game of interacting with humans, because I was so withdrawn, you know? Right. So then fast forward, one woman had said to me, she didn't want to commit to actually coming into the pod. She asked if she could like listen, but not really commit. And I remember part of me was like, no, what do you mean? This is meant for engagement. Like, this is what I'm thinking to myself. But then I caught what was actually trying to happen. And I was like, oh, it's time for more people to be able to listen in. And that's how my very first radio show was born. Oh, see? Now remember, I said, I'm going back, right? Because this is when people be like, how do you do? It's not about do this many videos and do this kind of marketing and do this strategy and hire this. It's about what's going on in here. Remember, I told you I made the decision, the irrevocable, solid decision that I was going to make money and service equally important. Not none of this, but people need help. And it's okay if I am consoling people, giving people my presence, my intuitive awareness, my reflection, giving them my advice, helping them through the different various stages of their life, and they're not paying me anything. Like, that's okay. Or they're paying me very little and I'm struggling to pay rent. Like, that's over. And the resentment of it all, that's over. So boom, the radio show was born. And then getting into the radio show, and I marketed the hell out of that radio show. That's another thing you're going to learn, is how to market. Like, you guys are amazing. I already know this. You have value to give, and you got to market it. People got to know that you're available and that you charge, and that you charge a lot if that's your goal. I'm not saying you got to charge a lot. I'm saying if you have been dying to create and sell $10,000 packages consistently, could you please inspire us all and go ahead and do it? And could you please inspire us all and go ahead and do it? All right, so doing the radio show, and I would do like I would open up the lines and women would come in and ask questions. And from that, I started getting paid clients again. Then I started doing, like, I remember I did a, oh, and another thing is I came out for the first time in my career as a healer. I had never called myself a healer before. I was a master sex shame healer. That was my title. Master sex shame healer. Because I had already, remember I told you guys, maybe it was last week, about the unorthodox path I took to heal my own sexual trauma, because the traditional way did not work for me. The traditional way of talk therapy and reading books and going to workshops, and right, okay. So I already had this very inappropriate method for healing sexual trauma. And in my power in coming back out, I said, I'm bringing this to the marketplace. I don't care if I don't see it anywhere and it can be deemed inappropriate by people. It worked for me. I think it can work for other people, and I'm bringing it to the marketplace. And this is how I made my first 6 figures. Now, let me share this story that I've shared repeatedly with you so you can understand the wealth consciousness that is required. Okay. Hey, y'all. Okay. So the wealth consciousness that is required. So there's a book that I recommend, right? It's called Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. This is all about women and money and power. I'm going to say that again. And if somebody can write it in the chat, please. The name of this book is called Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. Somebody could type that. The author is, if you go to Amazon and type that, it'll come up. Her name, can't remember her name, but Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. I think this is a really good entry point for Magical Melanin Witches, okay? So keep in mind that I had already been a coach prior to coming back out into the game 2014. So it's not like I was new to this, okay? So when I remember though, money and service equally important. So one of the way there was a radio show that I was going about and getting clients, but I was also doing like, I did this, it was like a 5-part audio series called like Better Sex and Deeper Intimacy, or I can't remember, something along the lines of coming into sexual power, right? And healing sexual shame and that kind of a thing. And I had, the way I ran it was I would do like one every other day, I think. I can't remember exactly how I did it. But anyway, it was 5 audio, me live on audio. And I would do it like once every other day or once a week, something like that. And then you would have to register for it. And then people would get the replay. If people couldn't be there live, I would email them the replay. That's the way I worked it. And this one particular, I remember being on the line and I could see people. I was using this platform called Instant Teleseminar. And on Instant Teleseminar, you can see when people are on the line and you can open up the line for people to ask questions and all this. And I remember being on the line I had prepared so much to do this series and I had so much content and I was just so passionate about it. I remember I could see people on the line and nobody was, I would ask a question or look for an engagement and like nobody was saying anything. And I remember being like, what, like really showing my disappointment, with like, hello, you're obviously you're sitting here. I've been seeing that however many people have been sitting on this line for the last 45 minutes and nobody is saying it. Like, what's going on? And I remember like showing that, right? And so I remember I finished the call and then I hung up. And I remember one lady contacted me and she was like, Naima, I was on the line when you were on the line. And I was just so, I can't remember exactly what words she used, but basically the content that I was sharing was just so like, for her, that she was unable to talk in that moment, basically is what she was saying. She was unable to talk in that moment. And I had started wealth consciousness. My wealth consciousness wasn't strong at this point, but I had started engaging in reading these kinds of books that I just mentioned here and others. And she had emailed me and she said, I want you to know that I would like the replay and I would also like to discuss working with you. What would it take to work with you? And I remember because I was on this path of like money and service equally important. And I wasn't doing any more of this, just getting on the phone with people because they want to get on the phone. Like I had done that so many times in the years prior because I just wanted to help people so bad. And I was just excited that people even wanted to get on the phone with me. And so people would tell me they want to get on the phone and there was no boundaries, no like standard to get on the phone with me. I would just get on the phone with people and people would sit on the phone with me for 2 hours. And I'm scared to ask for the sale or I want to keep helping them because they need help. Oh, they're struggling. She's a single mother who lives in upstate New York, and oh God, and he's this and that. Everybody's telling me their struggle story and I'm helping them through it and I'm answering and then I get off the phone tired. I've given them all of my energy. I ain't made no money. Oh, I need to go take a nap now. Like I had done that so many times. How many of you guys have done that? How many of you guys have done that? Right? And I remember being like, I'm not getting on the phone with this lady. She needs to make some kind of commitment through email or she can forget it, but she can go on about her business, okay? And I remember telling her the minimum, okay? The minimum to work with me is $10,000. I remember when she emailed me and told me that she had been on the line and she liked to get on the phone and talk about working together. I said the minimum would be $10,000, okay? She emailed me back. It was like, okay, yeah, okay, I would love to. I'm open. It wasn't that, oh, that's expensive. I can't afford. I know this is valuable and I know that I need it, but I just can't afford it right now. How many times have you heard that? I know you're worth it. It's not about me being worth it. Do you think you're worth it? Right? I know you're worth it. I know I need this, but I just can't afford it right now. It could be $100. I know I need it. I know you're worth it, but I just can't afford it right now. I want to. Give me 2 weeks. Give me 30 days. I'm gonna be back. Cause girl, you the bomb, girl. Cause girl. in the beginning. So for you guys who are new at building your online transformational business, I am going to suggest that you get on the phone with people so you can start to understand human psychology. You can start to watch people's behavior. You can start to look at your own behavior. You can learn how to listen to what's being said. You learn how to listen to what's not being said. You learn how to cultivate the skill of being with people in tense conversation, and not, you know, like scary conversations, but conversations where people are talking about things that are sensitive to their heart and to their body, and that, like a pain that they've been dealing with for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And here they are talking on the phone with you about it, and they're at the threshold of making a decision to change it. That could be a very tense conversation. And you have to learn as an alchemist, because naturally, when you're in the healing arts, when you're in the transformation arts, you are an alchemist, whether you call yourself that or not. You are an alchemist. And so you must learn the skill, which I learned with conversations for years, right? You will learn the skill, and I will teach you. Don't even worry about how. I will teach. The how is the easiest part. What's going on in here is what you need to be focused on, right? Learn the skill of being in highly charged, highly emotional conversations with people. I'm telling you, this is where your riches is going to come from. Most people run away from people. Like, even think of yourself. How scared are you to get really honest talking to somebody? Like, because you know they're not going to be able to handle it. Like, I can't even talk with my mom about, like, listen, right? You start talking about something that makes you hot on the inside, or that you feel some embarrassment around, or something that you're looking to transform or change, and you can't really talk to a person about. But as soon as you get on the phone with somebody who feels that, gets on the phone with you as a healer, as a transformational coach, as an alchemist, as a whatever kind of money coach, right? And you're able to listen to them, and you're able to ask them questions to help them to open up down into the root of what's going on with them, and not fully, right? Because this is not a coaching call. This is the call for them to, like, yes or no. That's what this is, a yes or no conversation. And you guys are having a very connected conversation where you're able to listen, hear what's being heard, hear what's not being heard, and then take it forward and get them to a decision. But if you are struggling with worth, I'm not worth it, or like, oh, she's struggling, I don't know if I can, tell her my $3,000 price tag because she's a single mom, and I feel like I'm taking from her baby's mouth if I charge that kind of money. Like, if you're struggling with that on the phone, you're not going to be able to help her get to a decision, because if she's a struggling mom, she wants to become a not struggling mom. And by working with you, she becomes a not struggling mom. Right. Okay. And so there's a lot here. So what I have seen, and being in this industry for a decade and watching where Black women quit. Oh, let's get into it. Where Black women quit. Oh, yes. First of all, the binds that we have with the people in our world, binds with our mother. I was working with a Black woman, engineer, brilliant. Oh my God, brilliant woman, engineer, mother, wife. Her thing was healing through dancing, I think. Something to do with healing. This was years ago, okay? And she had her whole plan. She and I were working together. She had her whole plan. She was implementing her plan, and she was getting into enrollment conversations. And somebody in her family told her that she was begging for money. Oh, Black people know how to just pour, that lack and make people feel bad for a strike. Do we know how to do that so good? That whole thing about, oh, you talking white. That's like a way to chop somebody down. That whole, when you don't do the things, like I've heard so many Black men who have talked about how Black women, like if they're not thuggish, and the stereotype that Hollywood portrays of Black men, that somehow that they become less desirable if they're not like that. Like, we do such a great job of keeping each other in these downtrodden, inferior, unsatisfied ways, don't we? Like, begging for money. Excuse me, this woman teaches people, she offers classes on how people can heal their body through dance. She's offering a class and you're telling her she's begging for money? And she's a engineer who makes very good money, and her husband makes very good money. They travel regularly. They got it. There's no version of begging going on in this woman's spirit. But here you got your mama, your cousin, your people in your life who not striving the way you striving. They're not magical melanin witches. You see, and then here you are doing magical things. Their mind is being blown, and instead of being like, wow, that is amazing, you're gonna do this, like what? Instead, they be like, you girl, you begging for money. She sent me that email and told me that her people said that, and I didn't hear from her after that. This woman who, she was an engineer, but she wanted to, I remember her saying this, she wanted to do what she called travel on a Tuesday. That was the slogan that she created because she was an engineer. That's what her career was. She wanted to end her engineering career and build up her healing through dance business. That was the goal. And when we first started working together, she told me that her slogan was going to be travel on a Tuesday because she wanted the freedom to be able to travel on any given day of the week. And this woman had this heart desire that she was building her business with, that she had already invested thousands of dollars to work with me to build up. And she let these comments from people who do not see her, who can't, I'm talking about being able to be, right? And then knowing who you are, I talked about this on Monday, knowing who you are, seeing yourself accurately because other people get in line. She was not yet at that place. This is another reason why the Arrogant Witch community is here, because you will gradually come into knowing who you are. It takes time. I don't expect you to just wake up and you charging $10,000 and getting $10,000. You can start with 1,000, right? Be excited about 1,000. Shit, if 500 is a big leap for you, start with 500. Inside the money course, you will learn these things, right? If 5,000 is the excites you and gets you going, go to 5,000, right? But you cannot let what other people, see what I'm saying, stop you. Okay, now let me get back to this client who came in, who I said, she emailed me wanting to work together, and I said, well, the minimum to work with me is $10,000. This was like January-ish of 2015. 14. One of those. I get my math. No, 15, obviously, because 2014 is when I came back out, so 2015. So this is like end of 2014, early 2015. I said the minimum to work with me is $10,000. She said, okay. So then we got on the phone. It was not no long ass conversation. Remember, this woman had already been listening to my audios. She already had said she wanted to work with me. She already know what's up. She already know what I do. We had like maybe a 20-minute phone call. That lady deposited $5,000 on that call right then and there. And then she paid the balance either later that day or the next day. Okay. Now, here is where you guys are going to learn this with us working together. And it's hot, it's volcanic, it's tumultuous. When you're in the beginning, it's sort of like when you ain't been in the gym in a long time, and then you go back to the gym. Those first 2 weeks are brutal, right? Like you feel like you're gonna die, like if you're really working out, right? And so I told you, I started building up my wealth consciousness. It wasn't rock solid, but I was working on it. The same way you guys are gonna have to work on it, okay? Well, you don't have to do anything. The way you choose to work on it, if you're going to highly monetize the work that's in your DNA and live the fulfillment that I'm here to help you fulfill, to bring about. So this client, okay, after she signed on with me, like the next month or something like that, I remember being like, I already had clients, I was making money, but that's all. It was like I was having clients and making money, and it was feeling redundant and boring. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to blow my mind and do $50,000 in a month. I remember being so clear, like, I want to blow my mind with $50,000 in a month. Now, I have a video on this channel called Collapsing Time and Space. I think I published that video in maybe 2018, I can't recall. but it was about collapsing time and space. And one of the psychic binds that has plagued and that is being lifted as I speak in the Black psyche, one of the spells that has bound the Black psyche is this not poverty necessarily. It's more like can't afford to deal in the realm of the miraculous. Like I'm so busy working to work and keep the family together and do what I'm doing and live this life and, you know, live this hard life or whatever life that you're living, that there's this unspoken bind in the psyche that I can't afford to deal in the miraculous, or I'm foolish to deal in the miraculous, or even deeper than that is, I don't actually have the power to produce miracles. Like that's even deeper down in the psyche of a lot of Black folk. And we can point to so many reasons and historical facts for why that is the case. But when I look, and the reason why I can say this is because, remember, the majority of my coaching career has been in circles with white men and women, mostly white women, some white men, mostly white women, right? So I, you know, have been in masterminds with white women who are making millions of dollars in their coaching businesses online, and white women who are just doing six figures or not even six figures, right? Who are, you know, just made $30,000 this year in their coaching business. And I've been in communities and circles where Black coaches exist, because there aren't very many magical who are six figures, seven figures. No, you just don't find us out here, okay? And when I have conversations with us, Black, white, even Indian, when I have conversations with us, there's this collective spell in the Black psyche that says we don't do these things, right? It's very much we as melanin folk, we don't do this. And it's not a conscious thought. It's not like Black women don't do six figures. It's not like that. It's down in the psyche, and it shows itself in our behavior. That's how I can see. I see it in behavior, and I see it in the way we answer things. And we default very much to, I can't afford it, to this whole idea that we have to representation, like you have to see it to believe it. Like I didn't see it. I didn't see a Black woman crushing it, doing transformational work online before I did it. So that's a lie. That's another lie that we have bought into. All right. And so this is breaking now, though. It's very much breaking, because we're looking at what I see happening now. And it started in 2020 because the portal opened and we had so much time to look at ourselves in quarantine. Is we're looking at, we're actually the reason, we're the cause for why our conditions are the way they are. And we also started to realize how much power and freedom we actually do have, right? And all right, okay, I see myself going off a lot. Let me come back to this though. So when I had made the decision, because first it was just a thought, man, I would really like to do $50,000 in a month. And then I made the decision, okay, now let's just start on this right here, right? Because there's some of you who are thinking about joining the Arrogant Witch community, and there's some of you who have already decided, and you just waiting for me to drop the application on Monday so you can send in your information to get in. Let's talk about the difference between thinking and wanting. Oh, I want it so bad. Oh my God, I want that so bad. And deciding that it's yours. Those are two very different energies, and they manifest very differently. The energy of, man, I would really, 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 really like to. Oh my God, I want this. I really want this. And even just feel it as I'm saying it. Man, I really want this. I want this so bad. Oh my God. Oh my God, I want to go to the Atlanta Magic Tour so bad. Oh my God, I want the Arrogant Witch community so bad. Versus, I am going to be in the Arrogant Witch community. I am going to have my first $5,000 client this month. Do you feel the difference in energies there? This is the domain that we play in. This is the domain where you're going to create all what you want. Like, if people look at me in awe, and I'm telling you, this is what it takes. This is how it works. This is the magic. This is the true magic, right? It's all what's going on up and around and through here. Your body, your mind, your psyche. Your body, your mind, your psyche. All right? Please remember to like the video, you guys, so that gets it up on the algorithms. And so before I had, in the past, I'd made these big money goals, like, oh, I'm gonna do $20,000 this month. Oh, it'd be great to do $20,000 this month. And this sort of like childish, ooh, excitement, like little girl behavior. Like, oh, I would love to. $20,000, like little girl, kindergarten. There was never any full power in it. And I remember being like, man, it'd be really amazing to do $50,000 a month. And then I really sat with the boredom I was in. It was like a plateau. It was like a boredom and a plateau. Can you relate to that? Where things are good, but it's boring, right? And I was like, I'm doing $50,000 in a month. Doing it, yep, I'm doing $50,000 in a month. Now, keep in mind, I had never done $20,000 in a month. What? Okay, now, the realm of the miraculous is not logical. So this is why, when I talk about the heat in the body or the X behind the door when this racist woman was holding this event and everything logically said no, like, who's going to hire, who's going to do that? Who's going to go to somebody's event? She's racist and I'm Black. Like, that doesn't make any logical sense. Now, I'm not telling you to go hire a racist white coach. I'm just giving you an example of there's no logic in miracles. So this whole common, there's a lot of fear, pent up fear that's dissolving. And the Black psyche around, well, I can't afford to risk. I got to hold tight to what I got, right? Even if we're not consciously thinking that, it's something in the psyche and in the way of being that I can't afford to loosen my grip and allow. I can't afford to float and be held in the miraculous. I can't afford to really rest in soft femininity, because if I fall, who gonna catch me? Who gonna save us? How am I gonna, right? The very nature of the miraculous, the very nature of making your heart's desires real, not just your heart's desire real, the very nature of divinity, divine. Do divine and logic sound like they go together? Like logical, strategic, where 1 + 1 = 2, right? That's very logical. 1 + 1 = 2. And miraculous, 1 + 1 = 100. And this is a practice, you guys. I know it's like it takes tremendous laying down and surrender. And I mean it physically and metaphorically. It takes tremendous allowing, backed by an irrevocable solid decision. Because both masculine and feminine are at play here. And again, this is why the community is here. I'm telling you, because this is where the game changes. You're not all on your own, stopping and starting, being distracted by the kids, distracted by Instagram, distracted by light. You are in a community where we are gathering. You have somewhere to be, where you're interacting with people. It's not some portal where you don't know who's there and you just consuming content, but nothing is being worked through your actual system and psyche. This is the stuff we're going deep into inside of Arrogant Witch, the fullness of who you are, every single thing that it takes. And the details will be on the page next Monday. So just make sure you're on the email list so you get those details, all right? So I remember within 2 weeks of the decision, the whole thing came up in my mind. The same old shit that would come up in my mind, like maybe I'm asking for too much. Like, I don't know, is now the time? Like, what exactly am I gonna do for $50,000? Like, Naima, you haven't even done 20, like all the logical stuff. Naima, you haven't even done 20,000. Like, why don't you just, because the logical step is steps, right? Well, you've done 5, you've done 10, maybe you should do 15, and then 20, and then 20. Like, that's how logic talks. When you're dealing in quantum, in the realm of the miraculous, those do not go together. Hey, Rochelle. So I remember all those thoughts going through my head. And I remember in the past when I had quit, particularly when I wasn't being coached, I quit. You know, maybe now's not the time. It's not necessary. I can do 5,000 or 10,000. Like, it doesn't matter, right? And I remember specifically having this conversation with myself. Naima, are you going to quit like you have quit every single time? You guys, I have earned my stripes, and you're gonna have to earn yours. I mean, you don't get to live the 1% life, or hell, the 10% life, without doing this work that I'm talking about. And you notice how all of this is energetic and mental. I haven't even talked about any kind of masculine effort. Masculine is doing, like me being here, doing a video, web pages, all that is masculine structure. Everything I'm talking about now, none of it is masculine. It's all feminine. It's allowing, it's softening. Now, decision is masculine, because you're going to be able to really rest in the feminine elements of the miraculous, because it's backed by an irrevocable solid decision. Okay. So I remember, Naima, are you going to quit like you've quit so many times, or are you going to follow through with this? I'm following through with this. I'm following through with this. This is the first time in my career that I'm following through on a big ass number like this, right? And I did the same thing with 10,000, but that was different. 10,000 was different. 10,000 was, it was logical. It was a logical readiness, because I had already worked my way up to 2,000, 5,000, 7,000. So it was a natural progression to go to 10. To go from 10 to 50 was like, what? That's what it felt like energetically. So I'm doing my marketing with this decision. I'm going to do $50,000 in a month, right? So a month goes by. I don't have the 50,000. I don't even have what looks like could be $50,000 coming in. Now, when you are putting forth effort, so I can feel some people's spirit disconnecting right here. I can feel it. Okay. That's your choice. It is always, always your choice. Okay. And you can decide at will at any given moment to reconnect and endure the change, the struggle, and the pain that comes with birthing your heart's desire. Okay? Because it does hurt. And yes, it is hard. And that is what makes it worth it. Okay? Well, living in the reality is a big part of what makes it worth it, but you understand what I'm saying. All right. So, month and a half, 2 months go by. Now, I'm starting to get frustrated, because I'm marketing. I have not abandoned my decision and my desire. Now, 2 months in, I'm like, where is my $50,000? Now, see, here is the energy again. Now, you have to police, not aggressively, not with like a bully, but you have to check what's going on in here. You got to check it. Because if you don't, you'll be doing something and it's coming from a place of fear or frustration. So I was checking my own mind. And in this, I was like, it wasn't like, oh God, this is horrible. This is so stupid for even making this decision. Like what? Now it was, instead of it being like, is this the right time? Who am I to do this? You should do 20,000 before you do 50. It was like, where is my $50,000? Do you feel the difference? This is energy. Where is my $50,000? What? Now, another thing I was doing during this time was the wealth consciousness books. I told you already the book. Um, can somebody please put this in the chat? Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. Somebody please type that, because I want either people who are here now or the folks who are going to watch the replay to get this book. Sacred, Barbara Stanny is the author. Barbara Stanny, Stanny. She's gotten married, remarried. You're welcome, Tamika. She got married, so her last name has changed. Like if you Google her, it's not Stanny anymore. But that book, somebody please type that in the chat right now. Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles by Barbara Stanny. I was reading books like that. I was reading Working with the Law. That's another one. Working with the Law. The Science of Getting Rich. These are all books that I would recommend to my clients when I was working with mostly white women and helping them step into power with money. These are the books that I repeatedly recommended. Thank you very much, Tamika. So I'll say that again. Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles, which Tamika put there. Yes, thank you very much. The second one is called Working with the Law. And the third one, The Science of Getting Rich. And then the other classic, Think and Grow Rich, right? And I would always tell my clients, read it like you're reading it for the first time, and read it like your life depends on it, because it does, all right? Your business growth, your bank account depends on it, because it does. So in this time that I'm reading these books, when I made this decision I was gonna have a $50,000 month, I'm rewiring myself at the same time. So I'm changing my relationship with money at a mental level, okay? I'm taking these books to heart. I'm reading them for like an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours a day. And you don't have to do that much unless you want to, but like at least do 30 minutes a day of reading one of these books. Start with The Science of Getting Rich. And really like, where's my money? Focusing on it, continue doing my money, holding the energy of expectation, right? That's a feminine thing. Holding the energy of expectation, allowing, looking, waiting. All of these are feminine things, right? Now, by month 3, my anger starts to build, because I'm like, I'm doing, okay? And there is I'll call it a scripture, in the book Think and Grow Rich, where he says, when riches come, woo, when riches come, they will come in such large quantities that you will wonder where they have been all this time. I think that's in Think and Grow Rich. And I remember being like, where is my money? I was claiming it on a mental level. So in the New Age spiritual community, it's all about affirmations and, you know, running around talking about, I'm claiming it. You see Black women in the comments section, it'll be like, Jesus said that this year is your year for financial abundance. And you see a bunch of women in the, I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it. Claiming it happens in here. Claiming happens at an energetic level. Claiming happens in expectation. I wasn't like, I want my 50,000. Not I hope. I really hope. I'm trying my best. We gonna see. See that? See that trick? That's trick language. That is a way out. I'm trying my best. I hope. We gonna see. And sometimes we're scared to like fully claim, like, this is mine. This is mine. You see the energy in that? Oh, I hope. You see the difference in energy? And I hope, oh, I hope. I'm gonna try my best. I really wish, I know I'm supposed to do it and I'm trying my best, but I'm just, oh, I'm scared, girl. And I got these kids. Oh, and I just don't know. And I'm just, like, that's like masturbating in lack. That's masturbating. That's like, you know, the pussy ritual I created. Like, could you just imagine yourself laying on your bed, masturbating, right? Stroking your clitoris, being like, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't think I can do this. Like, holding yourself hostage energetically. That's essentially what you're doing when you're like, oh, I hope. I'm gonna try my best. We gonna see, maybe. But you lay your ass on your back and you get to stroking your clitoris and saying, this is mine, whatever the thing is. You could be talking about a house. You could be talking about a man. You could be talking about money. That's what the pussy ritual is for, to get through the gunk of your actual liking of lack. Come on, claim it. If you've been lacking for a decade in the same domain, if you've been lacking in money for the last 2, 3, 4 years, something in your subconscious actually likes lack. Come on. This is the alchemical truth that you got to like, when I was broke, and was sleeping in a spare room and was drinking myself, and I started to really self-inquire, one of the things that I uncovered was I actually liked not having the responsibility of managing money. I actually liked not having to manage money. You get that? Like the stuff that sits in our unconscious and is having us act out in ways that we don't understand why we act out. Because, sweetheart, it's in your, it's not up here. It's not in your thought that you can just bring forth and speak. It's in your hidden down there unconscious. That's typically something that you're not supposed to like, like you're not supposed to like lack. You're not supposed to like rejection. You're not supposed to like not belonging, but a part of you actually likes it. That's why you keep creating it. So when I looked at why I kept producing this lack in my life, or not as much money as I kept saying I wanted. Naima, you keep saying you want to make all this money and you want to grow. You keep saying, but you keep producing the exact opposite. How could this be? How could this be? And when I stopped judging myself for the lack and stopped being angry and blaming myself and feeling shame around the lack, and I suspended all that self-judgment and parked it long enough to look at myself tenderly with a new set of eyes and really inquire from a loving place. Naima, you know that you're qualified. You know that you have what it takes. Like very gently. Not like, why my ass can't get it together? God damn it, you shit, your ass fucking around here living in your mama house, your dumb ass. Like, suspend all the negative self-talk and just really gently talk to yourself. And calm and relax all your muscles, relax your womb. And you know that you're qualified. You know that you have what it takes. You know like this money, what this money could do, the things that you would like to do. But you keep producing, like what's really going on? Just imagine while you're talking to a little girl that's 5 and you talk to her like that, she's gonna tell you exactly what it is. Because I don't want it. Because I want it. Right? And that's exactly what happened. Because I didn't want the responsibility of the money. Oh my God, look how long I've been here. Right? So this getting deep into the unconscious. Y'all, we go, listen, the Arrogant Witch community is here to go places that no other coaching program, no other goddess community is going. Because the leader who's leading that group, who is facilitating in that group, must be in full power to be able to really facilitate bringing women into full power. And full power is a huge responsibility, which is why, remember I told you, I was like, I don't know if I want to. All right, so let me finish telling you how the money came. The $50,000. So 3 months, where is my $50,000? So 3.5 months have come. And remember, I'm still working with this client that I started working with, who I told you about, who emailed me, and she made a $5,000 deposit. And then that day or the next day, she paid the other $5,000. So I'm still working with her, right? And we're coming up toward the end of her contract. And she was getting amazing results. I mean, she was like, Naima, I've gotten more with you and this time together than I have seeing a therapist in a decade. And right? So she's getting tremendous results. And I'm loving working with her. And it's just wonderful and all that. I also want to share with you, keep in mind, I was living in a 2-bedroom, not nice apartment living with another person when I first started working with this. Like, I was not balling, okay? But I was doing this for consciousness work to strengthen up myself. And I thought to myself, wow, if she got those kind of results in this, like, I think it had been like 5 months we had been working together by that time. I said, gosh, if she got this much in this time, what would it be like if we worked together for a whole year? Oh my God. And I had never worked with somebody for a whole year before. And so I went to sit down to put together what it would look like for a year. Now, this is the important part. Some of you guys right now cannot you are actually unequipped to make advancing decisions and stick to an advancing, I mean, a big one, like something that's like, boo, it's really taking your life to a big new ass level. You're ill-equipped or unable or energetically too tight to make it because your mind is currently the lack is your normal frequency in your mind. Lack is what's normal for you. When I sat down to write out working with this lady for a year, I have been almost every day reading wealth expanding books, expanding my mind. So when I went to sit down, I was equipped right here to write and think in an advancing way and make a decision from an advancing way. The fact that I even thought, the fact that my mind naturally went to working with her for a year was evidence that me reading those books was working, because I had never worked with a person for a year. Why would I even think, right? Because I was advancing in my mind. So then when I went to go sit down and write out, I wrote with no limitation. Had I went to go write 6 months prior, I probably would have been thinking like, well, she can't afford this. This is high. This, ooh. Policing other people's bank account, I can get all into that about, and I'll just say it now. Do not, just because somebody else can, just because you can't afford it right now, or you choose to not afford it, doesn't mean they can't afford it. When I charged her $10,000 for a package, I couldn't afford $10,000 for a package. Look, and if I want to get into it, if I actually saw something that I wanted to buy, I would come up with the money, but it's not like I had 10,000 sitting around, right? So I went to go sit down. I created this year-long package and I wrote it freely in thought. There was no drama in my head about this is too much. Who am I? And another thing we're gonna get into. I'm telling you, one of my selfish desires is, oh God, you might not even care about this, but I want this for you, and this is what I want. I want it to become normal where non-Black people defer to us and pay us to help guide them in their lives as their advisors, as their coaches, as their healers. That's what I want to see. I want to see Magical Melanin Witches where it is normal in the culture worldwide, where it is normal, like how right now it's normal for like old dark-skinned Indian dudes with white beards to be the spiritual teachers that people believe and trust, and like that's like baked into the culture worldwide. Like you just plant an old Indian dude who's dark-skinned with a wrap on his head with a, kind of like burqa dress with a white beard. Everybody just automatically sees him as the wise person, even if he's not. I want it to become normal in the community. We got the power to do it. Where it is normal. Like if you are a Magical Melanin Witch and people see you charging $2,000, they feel like you're not a real one. Like I want it to be like that. Like she ain't a real one. Like she ain't quality. She ain't, listen, and if y'all think that's fucked up, fine, right? I want it to be normal for us to be charging 10, 20, 50, $100,000 coaching packages, because guess what? We got it. Do you know my white clients, like, this is in our bones. This is in their bones. It's in our bones. They know that we are the itness. We are not acting like it. We are not acting like it. You see what I mean? My white clients, would be mad. I remember I had a client, her investment to work with me was $27,000. She was mad at herself that she only had $15,000 to put down and had to pay the balance like a month, like spread the balance out over 2 months. She was mad about that. She wanted to be able to come fully in. And they know it's in her. But when you show up all like energetically, like maybe physically but if you show up energetically, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for $20,000. Oh, I shouldn't do that. And oh my God, I'm being greedy. Yeah, of course you're gonna have people showing up into your world being like, I can't afford it. Because energetically, a part of you is saying that you shouldn't be charging that, and I can't afford that. So how dare I charge other people for that? See, opulence, yes. You see? So I earned energetically my way to this. So, okay, I sat down, I wrote down without any restriction in my mind because I was doing this wealth consciousness work for months. It's not a one-time thing or because you're in the mood, it's a lifestyle. So I remember I wrote down, okay, we're gonna have one VIP day a quarter. Boom, how much is that? I think my VIP days were, I can't even remember, 10, 20, I can't even remember, but they were 5 figures, okay? We're gonna have one VIP day a quarter. Okay, good. And then we're gonna have this many calls, and she's gonna have some emergency calls. Like I wrote out the whole package, the details of what it would look like for she and I to work together for a whole year, right? When a la carte, I added everything up, a la carte, right? Boom, put the total. When I looked at that total, it said $65,000. Now, I would like to remind you that up until this point, I had never done $20,000 in my business. I don't even think I'd ever done $15,000, but I definitely had not done $20,000 in my business. At this time, my roommate in Miami had decided she didn't want a roommate anymore. She left. I couldn't afford the rent. So I was actually living back and forth between my mom and my sister's house. Okay, so this is evidence that you ain't got to already be at a great financial level to charge 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, 2,000. All right. But what was going on up here was dictating the situation. That's why y'all gonna have to get it together up here. And that's why I'm telling you, you better come into the Arrogant Witch community because you cannot lose. You literally cannot lose inside the Arrogant Witch community. All right. So the link will be under this video for you to come into the email community so you get details and doors open on Monday. All right. So we were on like her third to her last coaching call. And let's say her name was Lauren, right? So Lauren, I've really been enjoying working with you. I know you've gotten really great results with us working together. And I'd love to talk about us continuing our working relationship. Would you like to have that conversation? Yes, I would love it. Yeah, please. I was actually thinking the same thing, right? Great. So I actually sat down and I wrote out what it would look like for you and I to work together for the next year. And it would be wonderful. Like I have this vision, I wrote it all out, and I just love to share with you what I have here. Would you like to hear it? Yes, sure. Tell me, what do you go? So what I see is that we can have a VIP day, and I had never met this woman in person. Hello. I had never met this woman in person. Okay. And remember, my title at the time was Master Sex Shame Healer. I was not working at all in money. So one of the big things in the coaching industry is only people who are teaching about money can make big money. Like that's one of the limiting beliefs. Only people who are helping people make money. I was a master sex shame healer. I was helping women heal sexual trauma. And this was the package I put together for this lady for $65,000. Okay. So I said, what I see, VIP day once a quarter for us. It'd be a year long. We have this many coaching calls so we can have time and space to work on this. You'd have this many emergency calls so that you can continue. Because anyway, that's a whole other thing about putting together packages and giving, clients opportunities that are not necessarily structured because life can get hectic, right? And so, yeah, this is the package that I put together, and the investment for this is $65,000. Do you know, without a bleep, that lady was like, okay. Right there in that conversation, she paid $35,000 with her credit card. And the next day, she paid the balance. Within 48 hours, I made $65,000 when I was living between my sister and my mom's place, and I had never made $20,000 in my business. And I was an online master sex shame healer, and I had never met this woman a day in my life, face to face. That is what it looks like to deal in the realm of the miraculous. To loosen your grip on, ooh, I can't, energetically, right? Ooh, I can't. Ooh, I'm scared. Ooh, and sitting behind that wall of fear, year after year, after year after year. The level of steadiness. When she and I were in that conversation, me even quoting, just imagine yourself quoting $65,000 to a woman who you've never met in person. Yeah, y'all been working together. You've never, like, and holding it steady. When I got off that phone after she made that $35,000 deposit, when I tell you, I was like, darling, this has been here all along. This is not new. This has been here all along. You just were not allowing yourself to happen. This first $65,000 client was in 2015, 6 years ago. It has been here all along. You just have not allowed yourself to see yourself clearly, to take that fearless action, and to expect large amounts of money to come into your bank account. But that time's changed. An arrogant witch community is here. Witch Master Naima is here. And my job is to support you in coming into your full power, not some, your full power, so that you too can command whatever amount of money that you decide is for you. Do we have a deal? Do we have a deal? You see? And I don't know why my lighting keep acting a donkey, but do we have a deal? Hey, BB, what's so true? Millionaire's estate. Right on. Please like the video. For those of you who haven't liked the video already, I have been here an hour and a half. It has been worth it. I'll be back here on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. But you know what I would like to know is to know where specifically you guys struggle. First of all, if you're already running an online transformational business or offline, like, I'd like to know, are you? Where are you currently struggling with your power? Whether it's with money, whether it's in your way of being, standards that you hold, who is or is not in your circles. Like, an email is going to be going out on Thursday, so make sure you're on the email list, because I'm going to be wanting to know where specifically, like, if you know this specific domain, you targeted it, your money faucet would turn on like that. All right, like, where you currently have the greatest struggle. You can put it in the comments right now before I go, because I'm happy to, I feel very energized. I'm just kind of like, wow, I've been here an hour and a half. It's been so much fun. You're welcome. Wow. Okay, you guys. Rochelle and her opulence, girl. Get it, girl. So in closing, I'll be back here Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Within an hour after I hang up here, there's going to be a link placed beneath the video for you to get tickets to the Magic Tour. There's also going to be an additional link for you to join the email community if you're not already on the email community list, because an email is going to be going out on Thursday with some questions that I'm going to be asking the community. And then on Monday, details go out because doors open to the Arrogant Witch community. What else is there for you to know? I think that's it. Let me check my notes real quick. At this point, the only thing there is left to do is for you guys to sign up. For those of you who are resonating, or not even just resonating, but you know this is for you. Oh, let me get into this. I'm so glad I remembered. Okay. And I'm probably gonna, we'll see what happens, but I feel like this is something to be discussed on Monday as well. For the first group, because remember, the doors to the Arrogant Witch community are only open for a week. The first group who comes in, and maybe even the second group, you guys are anomalies. I want you to be aware of the fact that what we're doing is pioneering, specifically for Magical Melanin Witches, okay? It is pioneering, okay? The first ones to do a thing are the first who are attacked. Okay. When it's normal, it's normal. It's like, oh, this is what people do. You know what I mean? Like when yoga first came to the West, they wrote about it saying, oh, these brown people were coming and leading our women astray. Do you know that was like how yoga was talked about when it was first brought to the West? These brown people, talking about Indian people, these brown people are dirtying our women and leading our women astray with this yoga stuff. Now, I mean, that was decades ago. Now, yoga is a respected spiritual practice and exercise practice, certifications, white, now the folks who market the hell out of yoga is white women, right? The first people who pioneered bringing yoga to the West were attacked. You being a magical melanin witch who will have the audacity to begin first commanding $1,000 for your services in a very feminine way, full power, who will begin speaking your signature intelligence, that was in your DNA, that which has been coming through you in some way anyway for years. You start commanding $1,000 for your package, then $3,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. Because when you stick with us, that's what's going to happen naturally, unless you are genuinely comfortable at like, you know, a $5,000 or $8,000 level. Which, by the way, $8,333 a month is six figures. $8,333 a month. Okay, so if you have a genuine desire to get to consistent. And it might not even be the money necessarily. It's like the level of help you want to give to people. And you put that on the correct financial frequency, then that puts you at 10,000 or 20,000 or 50 or whatever, right? For it is not normal in the industry at large, and then in the country, right? For magical melanin witches to be commanding large amounts of money. It's not even normal for us to run true thriving businesses that are in the vein of transformation. That's not typical, like tarot reading and, you know, the typical stuff you see on YouTube where girls got like fucking 50,000 followers. Like that's normal right now. The tarot readers and those things, you know what I'm talking about? Because you see them, right? But for you to teach signature, particularly in the domains of sex and the domains of different kinds of trauma, and the domain of money, and the domain of that which people consider profane or dangerous or wrong, like me teaching about demons and joining it with the divine, like, right? And then building an actual thriving business and expecting large amounts of money. Like, this is, you're a pioneer to come into this kind of way of being, which is what you're doing and what you're agreeing to when you come inside the Arrogant Witch community. This is not just some like feminine circle where we come to feel good and stroke each other's hair and, girl, I support you, girl. No, that can be a part of it, but we are here to hold each other to a standard of supremacy. Ooh, not even women. That's too close to white supremacy. You understand what I'm saying, right? We are here to look at what's going on within ourselves individually and not feel like we're so alone. We're in the Arrogant Witch community to engage in practice and to have the structure of the community, because when you're outside of the structure, it's like you're in a jungle, and that's when you see so many of us quit. It's kind of like trying to work out on your own. How long do you last working out on your own versus how long do you last when you're in a trainer or you're in fitness classes where there's a community and a culture? Okay, so you're gonna be like, you know, my client who I told you, where she was the first one in her family. She came from a nice family, right? What? Right? So you are pioneers. I'm telling you this so you can prepare for people to either be radically magnetized to you and want to work with you and be close to you and pay you and all that. And then the other people who are going to be like, right? Who the fuck she thinks she is? What kind of shit is this? What? So if you are willing to navigate the pleasures and the pain of being a pioneer, because the first ones, that's different than like the first 20. It's a different kind of agreement versus when it's 50 people already in and then the next 20 come, right? There's already an establishment. So it's easy because like, it's kind of like the first person who comments on a thing that's risque. Like the first 10 comments or the first 5 comments are like kind of leader, like fear, like courageous. But the 15th comment is like, oh, you're a follower, right? Right? You understand what I'm saying? So know that. And if you see yourself as a pioneer and you're willing to engage in the pleasure and the pain of being the first and doing this work, doing the work that I've been doing for years, like, I'm just so like, wow, that this is happening. Be among the first. Be among the first 20. That's my goal. 20. The first 20 in this first round, in this first week, because then doors close and I don't know when they're open again. But I want us to really go in with this first round. Really go in. Really set a foundation. Really get into some strong practices that start to reflect in the results that you get and the power and the frequency that the people who come after, the next group of people come, that they feel, right? And because of what we create together, the people who come in, they're lifted because they're coming into such a strong, high vibration. That we're creating this is a new thing, honey. This is new. This is full power, full truth. Yes, the light, the dark, the masculine, the feminine, all of it. So you'll see. And I'm out of here. I am out of here. How about you just decide you no longer procrastinate, Tamika? Holding the spirit of expectation. Yes. Woo-hoo! Yes. Go ahead. Yes, Rochelle. Lay down today. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Tamika, you can just decide that you no longer struggle with procrastination. Do you know everything is just like that? You can just decide, like, I'm done with this. This is over. You can just decide just like that. All right. This has been sweet. I will be back here next Monday. Make sure you're on the email list community. Doors open to the Arrogant Witch community next Monday. I'm so happy, so proud, so delighted, so honored to welcome those of you in who will be in. Remember, it's an application process. So get your application in pronto and let's move this train along. We got work to do. We got work to do. Enjoy the rest of your week, loves, and I will see you next Monday here at 2 p.m. Eastern